So I'm delighted to be talking today to a friend of mine called Julian Rota, and Julian lives in Kintbury and is a passionate volunteer for Trindledown Animal Welfare Trust in Great Shefford. Welcome, Julian.
Thank
And
you. Well,
we
nice to see you.
we can, for anybody's watching the video here, you'll see that Julian is sitting in what looks like a library because you are a booked. Your day job, when you're not volunteering at Trindledown, is you are a bookseller, a collectible and antique bookseller, and your home is testament to that. And I believe what you're sitting in front of is your collection of books about animal rights and animal welfare going back centuries.
It is, yeah. I'm very proud of it actually. It all started with a trip to Hay-on-Wye, the book town, um, just this side of the Welsh border, and my wife and I spent a few days there trying to find books to buy for stock, and didn't find a single thing. But a book jumped off the shelf at me almost, called Animal Wrongs by a guy called David Mouchet, who I'd never heard of, and it's very ordinary looking, plain green cloth bound thing. And that's what started me off. And that was published in the 19th century. I've got one or two books from the 18th century. And mostly I decided at the beginning not to buy anything published in the 20th century, otherwise I would just have too much.
Yeah.
Where would you stop it? But I've made exceptions as well. So authors or other people that are famous for other things, like George Bernard Shaw, H.G. Wells, who were very concerned about the welfare of animals.
Oh, interesting.
I love those too. Yeah.
So the reason we're talking today is that you have combined these two threads of your life by writing your own book about your experience volunteering at Trindledown. And
to my own astonishment, yes.
so can you talk us through the story, how you got to this point, publishing your own book?
Yes, I've been volunteering for about 4 years at Trindledown, and I've absolutely loved it, still do. We were on holiday in Turkey last year, and I find that I get the urge to write on holiday sometimes. And I'd noticed that Animate, which is the National Animal Welfare Trust newsletter, had asked volunteers to write a page or two about what an average day might. There's no such thing as an average day at Trindledown, but what a day might be like in the life of a volunteer. So I started to do this, and it just kept on growing. There's 3 pages, 4 pages, and I remember joking with some of the staff at Trindledown that there surely must be a soap opera or a book in what went on a day-to-day basis. And I suddenly thought to myself, well, hang on a minute, what if there actually is a book in this? And what if I'm the person to write it? I went to talk to Tracy Aldrin, the centre manager, about it. She was very enthusiastic and supportive right away. And that was back in last summer. And here we are now, you've got it in your hand.
It's fantastic, and it's got a real charm to it because your love and sensitivity towards the animals. And for people who don't know Trindledown, I think we should explain that it's a refuge centre for animals who've either their owners have died or can no longer look after them, so the animals themselves are usually quite elderly, or animals who've been abused and removed due to neglect reasons.
Yes.
So they're all quite vulnerable animals that need a lot of care.
Yeah.
And obviously, as a volunteer, you have to go through quite a training process in order to be able to deliver that care. And you're very funny, the way you describe some of the scrapes that you get into on the way.
Yeah, there's a lot of, as I said, there's a lot of, said to you the other day, there's a lot of trial and error on my part, mostly error. But I think I'm starting to get the hang of some of it now.
Brilliant. And they have such a variety of animals, don't they?
That's what makes it so amazing for me. It's such fun and so rewarding. Not just dogs and cats, but sheep and pigs and goats, birds, tortoises, rabbits, guinea pigs, all sorts, alpacas.
Everything. So for anybody, I mean, hopefully, when lockdown is lifted, it's a wonderful place to visit, to take your family. There's a cafe. They probably don't like this description, but it's got a petting zoo type feel to it. But it's very controlled how much you can actually engage with the animals. But as a charity that depends on donations, they are really struggling at the moment, because their fundraising events have all been cancelled. They can't have visitors on site, and they can't actually rehome. So this is another great thing about the centre, is that they don't want these animals to stay there, do they?
That's
They
right.
want to rehome them.
That's what it's all about, yeah. And we are really struggling at the moment because all the usual revenue streams have completely dried up, ground to a halt. So it's very, very tough. And just before lockdown, on top of that, we were flooded.
Yeah.
Which got into the local papers, and people have been very kind helping us with that. But you know, it meant people couldn't get in. We actually had to buy a Land Rover to get staff in and out.
Blimey. Yeah, there was that big puddle at the bottom of the driveway, lake, I should say.
Indeed. So yes, very, very difficult at the moment. I just have to take you up on petting zoo. Sorry, but those are horribly stressful environments for animals, and we're nothing like that. I just had to throw that in.
But I guess it's a term that families will be familiar with. It's a place where you can go and see animals and learn about their welfare.
You can certainly come and hug the alpacas. And,
the way you describe those alpacas, I'm not sure.
It's fine as long as you're not on their side of the fence.
Okay, they're very territorial. Well, the sheep farmers in our village have alpacas in with the sheep to protect them from foxes.
Yes, yeah, I've heard that happens.
Yeah, so they're very effective. So proceeds of this book. So this book is it's a beautiful hardback book with lovely colour photographs in the middle, and they can buy this by contacting you.
Yes, or the centre or Trindledown. And all I need is an address, and I'll very happily send a copy along, or more copies with an invoice.
Okay, and the book covers your experiences with Trindledown, but also your experiences pretty much around the world with animal welfare, and from temple elephants in India to cows in Turkey. You've been there, and badgers. You're a big badger protector over here as well. So what I'm trying to say is, whatever type of animal the reader is interested in, you're probably covering it here somewhere in this book.
I hope so. That'd be lovely. I belong to a local badger group. We go set surveying. The idea being that if we can't protect the sets, if we don't know where the sets are, we can't protect them.
Okay.
And the local wildlife groups are rather wonderful as well, and bird walks and things like that. But I'm very lucky. I've been able to travel quite widely. A couple of safaris. And a safari, it's not about animal welfare. It's me having an absolutely amazing time in very close quarters with the most beautiful animals on the planet.
But also probably the revenue from the safaris is contributing to the welfare of those animals.
That's true. It absolutely does. And in fact, just by being there, you are helping. It helps with the poaching problem.
Yeah. And I must ask you, you've got an incredible foreword to your book from Chris Packham. How did you manage that?
I'm so pleased with that. One of the second safari that I went on was to Kenya, and it was a photographic safari organised by Paul Goldstein, who's a world-renowned wildlife photographer, and Chris Packham, and they run it. And it's Paul's camp that we stayed in, and that's how I met him. I was out there for about 10 days. With a group of other people. We were out at 5 o'clock every morning. Long days, but most extraordinary experiences. And yes, we got chatting, and I'm afraid I rather hovered around late one night after supper. Everyone else had gone to bed, and Chris was waiting to make a call home, which is when I decided to make my pitch. Poor man. But he very kindly agreed to take a look at it, and then even more kindly wrote that rather lovely foreword.
Amazing. So for a first-time author to have that kind of endorsements from such a respected personality, that's hopefully will do your sales. And so proceeds from every sale do go to Trindledown. So this is a brilliant way of people supporting the charity. Lovely. So just to clarify, it's the National Animal Welfare Trust Berkshire is the official title. We all call it Trindledown Farm. But you can find them easily online. They've got their own website, and they do a lot of social media as well. And I bet you can't wait to get back there to volunteering.
I'm really missing it, I have to say.
So the
Yeah.
staff, the skeleton staff there are having to do all the jobs themselves.
Yeah, and they're being kept completely separate. The two teams, they call them kennel section and field section. They're being kept apart completely. It must be very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and I know that they're having a lot of people at the moment wanting to offload pets to them because they can't afford to buy the pet food at the moment or whatever. But Trindledown just isn't in a position to take any more animals in at the moment.
No, it really isn't. There's a real emergency. It's not, it's not impossible, but it's very, very hard. And we certainly can't do it in the usual way.
No, no. Well, well done, you, for your years of commitment to them, and for having the bravery to write your having sold books all your life, to write one yourself for the first time. And I'm sure this isn't going to be the last one you write. I think you've got the bug.
I think I might be, unfortunately. I thought I knew quite a bit about writing books. I studied English literature and language. I've spent my whole life working with books, meeting authors, handling their archives, seeing how books are written. It turns out I didn't have a clue.
Well, until you do it yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, lovely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm halfway through. I'm really looking forward to reading the rest of the book.
Thanks so much, Penny.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.